This is the APD Pod Squad. Coming up in this episode, getting to know Lieutenant Diana Loveland from the Criminal Investigations Division. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Lieutenant Loveland works very closely with the Family Justice Center. We'll hear all about the great work they're doing for survivors. Doug Oeser, the Director of Data Accountability and Crime Analysis, joins me. I know it's a pretty long title, but they cover a lot of ground. He'll break it down for us and explain what they do in terms even I can understand. Senior Police Officer Carrie Lee from the Community Engagement Division tells us about a busy month of October that includes some treats and maybe some tricks. I don't know. I'll ask her. And in the History Minute with Hannah Silberman, we look back at a line of duty death that occurred in October of 1933. It's all coming up on Season 2, Episode 3 of the APD Pod Squad. Joining me now from the Criminal Investigations Division, it's Lieutenant Diana Loveland sitting down in the chair. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
First time in the room. I know you're a little bit nervous, asked a lot of questions, all those things. Well, I'll be asking the questions, but only a couple of them. We're going to have a nice conversation because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
It is.
And you work very closely with the Family Justice Center.
I do.
And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. But first, let me just ask you, where were you born?
I was actually born in Jacksonville, North Carolina, but was raised in New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay, so near the Marine base.
Yes.
Of course, Camp Lejeune, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Over
Camp
there.
Lejeune.
And so not too far from the beaches, so more of a beach baby than a mountain kid?
Oh, much more of a beach baby.
So the second question, something that most people don't know about you.
Well, I was the first in my family to go to college.
Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So what college?
I went to Western Carolina University.
WCU Catamounts.
Yes, go Cats.
How about that? Yeah, that's right. I see you guys at games once in a while, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what was that the thing you wanted to do all along, or how did that come to be, going from the East Coast in North Carolina? You just said you're a beach baby and not a mountain girl. You ended up in the mountains going to college here.
That is an interesting story. So I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and he went to Western. He was a year ahead of me in high school. So when it was time for me to start applying to colleges, I don't know what they're called, counselor. Guidance counselor. Went to her for guidance on how to apply for colleges, and she said, well, Diana, college isn't really for you. You probably are wasting your time applying for college.
Did you not have good grades in school, or why did she say that?
I had a C average. I was passing, but I didn't take classes that I guess prepared you for college.
Like
I just
the
took
college prep
classes
curriculum didn't.
Yeah. I took classes they told me to take, and that's what I did.
Yeah, honestly, there's a few ambitious people that go to school.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who they are, but the rest of us just kind of do what they tell us to do. Mm-hmm. And we go to the, walk in, where am I today? Oh, I'm in room 113. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
Most of us don't put a ton of thought into what classes we're taking. Oh, you need to take math. All right, put me down for math. Whatever. Yeah. So you bucked that and you didn't do what they wanted you to do.
So in talking to my then boyfriend, he's like, you should apply. Don't listen to her.
Go ahead and give him a shout out. He's been on here too.
Craig Loveland.
Sergeant
Craig Loveland.
Craig Loveland.
Yes.
And you are Lieutenant Diana Loveland. So, that comes up once in a while in the household.
Oh, no. It's not. Not a thing.
I know he has our together. I'm sure it's in a fun way. It's in a ribbing way. But I'm sure it comes up at least a little bit once in a while. Just,
He likes to joke I'm the boss at work and home.
Well, something to be said.
But no, he's a funny guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah, we've been together 32 years total.
And I've known him about 20.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So he's a character.
Yes.
I was like, well, I'll apply to Western. If I get in, fine. If not, then we had several factories in our town, and my goal was to apply for one of those. Just so happened I got in and went to Western, and I stayed there year-round, so did summer school, and actually graduated with my 4-year degree in criminal justice in 3 years.
Did you go back to your former school and knock on your guidance counselor's door and
I thought about it. They're like, you don't know nothing.
You don't know me.
Yeah. So, but no, I didn't.
Not that there's anything wrong with like a factory job, for example.
No. And
I
that
mean,
was
plenty of people have made a good life.
Yeah.
My dad worked in a factory. We had a big factory in my hometown. Some people may be familiar with Occidental Chemical Corporation. It's a huge whatever. Durez Chemicals was the actual factory, part of Occidental. Everyone worked there. Everyone knew someone that worked there. So it was my dad, 2 uncles, most of my friends' fathers, and everyone, really could credit that place with, giving them a living, have a home, family, those type of things.
Yeah. If you know anything about New Bern, it's where the Neuse River and Trent River go out to the ocean. So it used to be, fun fact, it was the original capital of North Carolina. But then Western North Carolina didn't feel like they were getting fair compensation or representation. So they moved it to Raleigh, which wasn't that far away.
I was going to say Raleigh is just like a couple hours from there, if that.
Yeah. So we have the Tryon Palace in New Bern. So there's a lot of factories that are set around the rivers. We have Moen and Bosch and Weyerhaeuser, and there's a yacht. I can't remember the name of it, but there was quite a few. So that was my goal.
I almost moved to that area for a radio job. I was working in Fayetteville, which is obviously not that far from there. And so we'd go there once in a while. We'd go to Wilmington, which was closer to us, only like an hour from Fayetteville. And Raleigh, you mentioned, that's like an hour north of Fayetteville. So the best thing about Fayetteville was the things that were close by, not necessarily what was in Fayetteville.
Right.
You can get out of there and go somewhere else, right?
Right.
But I was looking for radio jobs at the time, and I had an interview there. So I went in person, did an in-person interview, and they said it was between me and a couple of other guys. It was a difficult decision, yada, yada, yada. So almost lived in New Bern. It was, from what I saw, and it was a brief visit, it was a nice area.
Yeah. I loved it there and would have gone back, but I got the job here.
There you go. Now, I would think, I didn't get a whole lot of look at Jacksonville. I went to New Bern. But I would think Jacksonville in some ways might be a little bit like Fayetteville, military town.
It is a military town.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would compare one to the other.
Well, Vietnam is a whole different that is a whole different thing. Okay, so you obviously became an officer, went this direction before Sergeant Craig Loveland.
I did, yes.
Right? So let's go back to you're in college, right? You're both going to WCU. So where from there?
So we were applying at different places, and APD was highly recommended at Western as the place in Western North Carolina, or even North Carolina. If you want to go into law enforcement, you applied at Asheville PD.
Were you going for criminal justice? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I did get a criminal justice major. Anna Reno came and talked to the seniors that were looking for law enforcement jobs. And all of the professors spoke highly of the department and how educated they were, how highly trained they were, how professional. So I applied in the fall of 1999.
All right.
And in late December, I called and was like, we want to offer you a position. Would start in January 2000.
Awesome.
And so I accepted the position. My first day on the job, waiting for school, because that was also one of the things is APD pays for you to go to basic law enforcement training.
Right.
So my first day with the PD was on January 24th of 2000, and then went to BLET, and I got sworn that June.
Okay, so you were joining APD right about time as I was arriving in Asheville, just separated by a couple of months. I got here in February of 99.
Yeah.
So you're already here.
Yep.
And is that when Craig kind of started looking that way? Or I know he's done some other things.
Yeah, we applied together. There were 5 of us that got hired when we applied. He was not one of the 5. So
I know that's come up at some point too. All in fun, but come on. You got to have some fun.
Yeah. So I've got about a year and a half on him seniority-wise.
Wow.
So
since you are all the way up to lieutenant, and I know which year you started, you don't have a ton of time left.
No, I don't.
Are you one of those that has the running clock on the Like some people count down the days. I have
You
when I
mean
ask
I
them how
have-
much you got left. I have 3 years, 2 months, 6 hours, that whole thing
You mean I have?
until your retirement.
Yeah, I can let
see,
you know.
See, you have it on your phone right now. See,
I have 2 years, 9 months, 25 days, 10 hours, and 47 minutes, 32 seconds. Not that I'm counting.
and counting. Actually, it continues getting less and less and less.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I know from people that I've talked to that are getting closer to that. It's something that, and you have to plan, because the thing about like you, for example, you're young.
Yeah.
So this won't be the last thing you do in your life. It's kind of like, okay, that's like the beginning of my next stage of what is that?
Right. So I was hired when I turned 21, July 31st, got hired here when I was 21. And so I'll be fortunate. I will turn 50 on the 31st, and my plan is to retire on the 1st.
That's a pretty
That's
good
my plan.
That's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah. That's my plan.
That'll deserve cake.
So
something.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Anything could happen between now and then. But I put the timer on my phone, not for retirement. Probably, I don't know, when iPhones came out, someone had a countdown for their vacation.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I have a family vacation. Wonder how long it will come up. And then as one of the prompted countdowns was a retirement. And I was like, ooh. And I remember somebody telling me that was working here, Brian Anderson, he was an officer that retired with us. He's like, Diana, don't put it on your phone. It's going to be too depressing. And I was like, I don't know, 13, 15 years, that I still had left.
That was a pretty big number at that point.
Yeah, so big number. And so I don't check it all the time. And when it got to the single digits, one time I was like, oh, I'm within single digits. And now I'm under 5 years. So it's pretty crazy how fast time goes.
Getting close. I mean, but that's not unusual to think about what's next or when's retirement. Like for me, when I retire, it'll be retiring. It'll be like, I'm the kind of person that will probably always be doing something small, like a part-time job. I could do public address stuff or whatever I do now, right? But believe me, I'm already looking towards mine, and I got way more time left. And I just started here almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've only got like less than 2 years in. I've got 8 years to go minimum, and I'm already thinking about it. I don't have it on my clock. I don't have it on my phone because I don't know. In my case, I don't know when that's going to be.
Right.
Because my wife is 7 years younger than me, so we'll have to make some decisions on. I know she wants to move down to the coast at some point.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we do? Do I just stay here? We both stay here, and you finish where she's working now, which is Mission, or do we go down there and she works somewhere else? Or so you have to start. You're flexible that way.
Yeah, and I don't have to retire, because I will be younger than some people are when they retire. So I don't have to. I think it'll depend. I have 3 daughters. 2 of them have now graduated college. One of them is in high school. She'll graduate the same year I'm eligible for retirement.
So one of them walked into Texas Roadhouse last week.
Yeah.
And without knowing, she was just there. I saw her. I'm like, that's like Diana Light. I mean, she looks just like you. I don't know which one it was offhand, but whichever one was at.
Did she have brown hair or red hair?
Brown, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember. It was like, we did the charity fundraising event.
Oh, yeah. So that was my
Texas
youngest.
Roadhouse. Okay.
Yeah.
She looks just like you.
Yeah. Well, she's the spitting image of my mother-in-law when my mother-in-law was her age. Their photos, they look like twins. Yeah, crazy.
So let's just say if you do end up retiring from here and not continuing with the APD, is there anything else you've thought about, like something you've been passionate about? You thought, I'd like to try this.
So, yes, it depends. Depends on my girls.
You got time. You got 5 years.
Yeah.
You got time.
So my girls, it depends if they have kids. I want to be very active grandparent.
Sure.
Because my kids, I was working very often.
You were a cop.
Had to working terrible hours. Yeah. If it wasn't for my aunt, that she's amazing with my kids. Love the relationship that they had. Like, we were so fortunate that she was able to take care of my kids. Because I had a really bad experience with my oldest child in a daycare. And she stepped in and took that burden off of us, which was phenomenal. So I missed out on a lot of the kids when they were little. Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to be to them what my aunt was to me.
Yeah, so you want to have some flexibility there.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. My mom and dad were completely retired and basically were the sole caregivers for my niece and nephew, my brother and sister-in-law's kids. And because of that, they were able to continue with their jobs full-time while knowing they had family watching their kids.
Yeah.
So speaking of family, this is a nice transition. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Let's talk about the Family Justice Center.
Yeah.
That's been around for, I think you did some research. What year do we think that was established?
I think it was 2015.
Okay, so we're talking about 10 years.
Yeah, maybe. I think they started planning in 2013, and then the doors opened. I want to say 2015, but don't hold that against me if I was wrong.
About 10 years.
Yeah, it's been around for a minute, and people still are learning about it.
Well, give us the 30,000-foot view, the big overview on what the Family Justice Center is and what they do.
So Family Justice Center was created because they found that survivors of sexual assault or domestic violence on average had to go to 21 different locations to help receive services when a traumatic event took place.
That makes it really difficult for them to get what they need.
Yes. So there was the hardship of them not being able to go to work or having the ability to get to these locations because of lack of transportation. So the Family Justice Center model isn't new or wasn't new. Other areas had started a family justice model, and it was very popular and very successful. So when they looked into how often a survivor had to go to these different places, sometimes multiple times, it only made sense to bring all of the partners together where they can come to one location, the providers could come to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's already an incredibly difficult thing they're going through. To make it more difficult with just what they have to do to get the services they need, I can only imagine how many just threw up their arms and said, forget it, I'll just do it myself. Or just I'm not going to get these services because, this is just too much.
Yes.
And they suffered in silence, and they probably didn't get the help they deserved and needed.
Right. And we had a record domestic homicides the year before they started this planning process. It was necessary. It was absolutely necessary to have the Family Justice Center. And it has been such a beneficial thing to have all of the partners together. Like, I started as a detective in 2006, and we did not have the family justice. There was Our Voice, there was Helpmate, there was law enforcement, there was Mission Hospital, there was DSS, Pisgah Legal. I think there even was a CAC, which is the Child Advocacy Center.
Yeah.
But we recommend as law enforcement, like, hey, you should probably go talk to one of these other providers. They might help you. But we didn't really work in partnership with them. Now, working in partnership with them, I feel like the survivor is more supported through one of the most traumatic things they've had to deal with. So
I remember my first time hearing about it was when I was working in radio with Tammy Jones. And Tammy left that particular radio group to do this. And I remember thinking to myself, that's interesting, that completely different than what you're doing. But she seemed really passionate about it.
Oh, and she's amazing, isn't she?
Well, she was last year's Employee of the Year, if you remember.
Yeah, she does such a great job. So passionate. She shows up in court with survivors so that they don't have to sit there by themselves. Make sure that they know about victim compensation and things of that nature. Like, she does such an amazing job.
And she has a therapy dog as well. She has a Detective Hope, I guess. It is officially Detective Hope?
It is Detective Hope.
That's what I thought. Yeah, and she's adorable, of course. And, so we've got a couple of therapy dogs sometimes running around here, which just lightens the mood for us. So I can only imagine what it's like for victims.
Yes. So Hope kind of has a dual purpose. She is there not only for those who have to go to court and sit there to kind of help ease anxieties and things of that nature. But she's also there for the detectives as well. Because detectives have a lot of vicarious trauma in talking with those and doing interviews and things of that nature. So Hope is just as helpful to the detectives as she is to the survivors themselves.
I mean, Charlie Brown 75 years ago nailed it when they said happiness is a warm puppy. So who can be mad while you're petting a dog? I mean, it's just
it's difficult.
It's really whatever you're going through, it's going to make at least this much better.
Yeah,
it's not going to solve the world's problems, but you're going to feel a little bit better when you're petting Hope or just sitting next to Hope or Officer Cora, which is another one we have here. It's whoever was the first to think of that. I don't know who that was in the world of policing. Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
To incorporate therapy dogs into this kind of healing.
Yeah.
So you work with them on a regular basis. What is your role working with the Family Justice Center?
The law enforcement portion of it, we investigate the criminal side of things that have happened. Just because somebody comes to the Family Justice Center, though, they may not have law enforcement involvement. They can go meet with a provider, get the help that they need without law enforcement involvement. It's their decision. But we're there for them if they make that decision to come forward and make that police report. So once that happens, a report is done, and then we will start the investigation and try to support them through that investigation.
Since it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, do you have a best way? Let's just say someone's listening to this right now and they're experiencing something and they haven't said anything yet. They're just afraid, I guess, would probably be the biggest thing prohibiting somebody from addressing it. What would be the best way for a victim, somebody right now, to contact them?
So they could either drop by Monday through Friday. Doors open at 8 o'clock, up until 5. Now, generally, to start the intake process, if they're there by 4, it would be best. They can call the hotline. Helpmate has a 24-hour hotline. They have a shelter for those who are fleeing domestic violence situations that there's danger associated with it. One of the most dangerous times is when a survivor decides enough is enough and they want to get out. So having the support of Helpmate to be there, they can be an ear to listen to. They can help them with safety planning on when it's time to leave, how to leave. They have court advocates that can sit with them in court and help them with the process of a restraining order, or what's called a 50B. And they can help them with shelter, emergency shelter, if there's nowhere else for them to go. So they could call the helpline or the hotline, or they could come in person, or they can call a police officer, and a police officer can help them get to the Family Justice Center. 911 if it's an emergency.
How about if they did want to go in person? Where's that located?
So we're located at 35 Woodfin Street. It's directly across the street from the YMCA downtown.
Okay.
And then based on their needs, they can either speak with law enforcement if they need an exam. A SANE nurse which is a forensic nurse, can do an exam for them there at the Family Justice Center, where they don't have to go to the emergency room. So that saves a lot of time running into somebody that you may know at the ER. It also is a safe environment to get the medical attention that you may need. And they do forensic interview collection. So it can all be done right there.
Lieutenant Diana Loveland joins me right now. And one thing I've noticed as we've been talking is the phraseology. We're using different words for the same person. You're using the word survivor, and I've used the word victim. And I think for me, I write the press releases, and that's the term that I would use if they were the victim of something, which they are. But you use the word survivor.
So yes, they are the victim of a crime, but trauma-informed, they need to realize they are survivors. They have survived that criminal act. A victim in an advocate world is someone that did not survive. So knowing that, yes, I am the victim of a crime, but I'm a survivor. So they lived through that traumatic event and are seeking the services needed to continue.
Starting to rebuild their life again, rebuild their strength, their inner strength, and just kind of help prop them up a little bit too. It's like, listen, you did this, you can do more.
Yeah, and it's giving them, at the Family Justice Center, like they are in charge of what they need. So nobody's going to force them to talk to law enforcement. Confidentiality, they won't even let us know, law enforcement, that Rick is seeking services or Diana is seeking services.
Right. So
it's 100% confidential. But knowing that they could, and that the detectives that are at the Family Justice Center are also trauma informed, makes it a little bit easier to come forward and tell your story.
Yeah, I can imagine how difficult it is. I mean, we want to
Yeah.
make it as easy as possible, of course. Speaking of making it easy as possible, what if we have a lot of people here that live in our community that aren't natural English speakers. So do we have interpreters? How many languages might be covered? I mean,
So both our advocates, our voice and helpmate, generally have somebody available that is bilingual in Spanish and in English. So that is available. We don't want anyone that can't speak English not to come to the Family Justice Center. So we do have the support of the language line so that we can help those that do have some sort of language barrier.
okay.
So we don't want to discourage anyone just because we may not speak the language. We will figure it out, and we will try to continue that conversation.
But the first step is getting a hold of you guys and trying to get out of whatever situation you're in. If that's the case, people are making that decision right now. They're fearful for whatever it is. They need to go in person, call, make that first step.
Make that first step.
That's the key right there, right?
That's the key to changing everything.
Yeah. Do you have that phone number handy?
If you wanted to call ahead of time, obviously 911 if you're in danger. Want to make sure that is your first phone call because your safety is their number one concern. If safety is not an issue at that exact moment, but you still want to call ahead of time, that phone number is 828-250-6900.
All right.
Or you can call Helpmate's 24-hour hotline at 828-254-0516.
Lieutenant Diana Loveland, thanks for joining us, getting us a chance to get to know you and learn more about the Family Justice Center.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Getting to know Doug Oeser, Director of Data Accountability and Crime Analysis. It's way too long of a title, Doug.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We've known each other for a while now. You're my go-to guy when I need numbers. It's like, hey, listen, Doug, I need to know how many people stole a stick of gum in the 100 block of Main Street between May and June of 2026. And like 20 minutes later, you'd be like, okay, that was 7.
Yeah.
And would you like a breakdown by race and gender? And I'm like, no, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Because when I get media requests for things in the world of data, crime analysis, which is your department, I go to you. There's things that we can pull on our own, but you can do the deep dive and get the official numbers, so which is very important to modern policing. But as a getting to know segment, we're going to start off with the stuff that makes you incredibly uncomfortable because you know numbers, crunching those things.
Yeah.
But your personal life, on the other hand, I know you kind of play that a little closer to the vest. So you've listened to the podcast before. You know the questions are coming. Where were you born?
Born in Virginia, but spent most of my life between North Carolina and Tennessee.
Okay. So this general kind of Appalachian area?
Yeah, this is the perfect merger between the two. Yeah, this is the one place in North Carolina where I felt most at home.
What brought you here?
My wife. She's from Waynesville and settled in Asheville. And ever since I moved here, I've just had a great affinity for it. My family is split. So this was the meeting place in Black Mountain where I would get exchanged as a kid. Yeah.
Hand off, Doug.
Yeah.
So you still have family then in Virginia, in Tennessee, friends, family, and you go there and kind of visit, but you live here.
All around.
So what year did you move here?
2016.
Okay. So been here about 10 years then, give or take. And you didn't have this job when you came here. You got it afterwards?
Yep.
So what year was that?
It was closely after that, maybe 2017. Moved to the area specifically during the time when I was applying for the position. But as anybody who's applied for APD knows, it takes some time.
It does.
So in that interim, I actually worked at Milko and processing, pasteurizing milk.
Well, that didn't provide you with any help for this job whatsoever. So was it the policing part of the job that interested you, or was it the data part, the crime analysis, the things that you would be doing on a daily basis, law enforcement or otherwise?
Yeah, it's more the data analysis aspect, but how it plays well with a career that I've had that extends from military intelligence in the U.S. Army, where I was with the 82nd Airborne, and went into doing criminology in college, but felt myself yearning to get back into mapping, GIS, social network analysis, and the actual practical analytical work without having to be deployed on a continual basis. And so this is that nice middle ground.
Well, then I think we have something in common. If you were with the 82nd, I mean, you lived in Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, me as well. At the end of the 90s. So I was there from, I guess, about 96 to 99.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a miserable place.
Vietnam is what they, yeah.
It was just turning around when I was leaving. They were doing some things downtown, Hay Street, et cetera. Right there, they'd put in the 82nd Museum. They just had started the building on that, and now it's completed. I understand it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. And they had put their first craft brewery in right downtown. It was Husk Hardware Company, and that was right there. I worked right downtown, and I forget the name of the building. It was a bank. It was either the Wachovia building or it was the something building. It was about a 16, 17-story building right downtown, right by that center square thing, the roundabout. And so that's where I worked for 3 years on the radio.
I had the great fortune of not getting to spend much time there because when I got there, I deployed within 2 months of me arriving. I was gone for over half a year, and then I came back for a year, then went back again for a year and a half overseas. So all of my time was like a brief, truncated dream state.
Were you on base or were you off base when you stayed there?
Off base, yeah.
So I actually ended up going onto the base quite a bit to use the facilities because back then, pre 9/11. The security wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
And so I had some friends that were airborne and a couple that were special forces, et cetera. And I used to go play basketball at the gym.
Yeah.
Right. And no one thought anything of it.
Yeah.
I looked enough like a guy with the short hair and the bald, whatever you want to call it, that looked like he could be in the military. No one ever questioned it.
Yeah.
No one ever asked what unit I was with or whatever. I just came and went. I mean, how times have changed.
It really does feel like a different world. You even talk between that or like airport security, again, split family, getting put on an airplane. We used to walk straight to the gate, say goodbye, be greeted off the gate, and then to see all that transform. Yeah.
So the second question, we've learned a little already so far, but the one thing that most people don't know about you.
Before I did any analytical work, whether for the military or for APD, I used to do rebuild transmissions.
Wow.
Automotive transmissions, which still has that affinity for car repair, evident by my broke trucks that I keep limping along.
My dad would have liked you. He was a gearhead.
Yeah.
Growing up, he had all those cars, all the muscle cars, and he'd work them on himself. He actually lamented as he got older that with all the computers, he couldn't work on a car the way that he could back in the day.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's like you can't even do an oil change now. It's like, what do I do with the oil? What do I do with it's just cheaper or whatever, or more convenient to go somewhere else and let them do it for you.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels like there's built-in obsolescence. Like they're not built to last; they're built to fall apart.
So the ones that you keep, are they older ones?
Yeah, generally the ones that I can still work on.
Yeah, you can still work on them, right?
Yeah.
So do you have like a project car, a project truck, like one that's kind of you're trying to fix up, or
the one that gets me to work every day? I drive a Ford, so every day I'm using all my prayers and luck just to get to and from.
Let's talk about your job with the APD. You'd mentioned Director of Data Accountability and Crime Analysis. And so we all know this data and this analysis right now, it plays a major part in policing, in contributing to the decisions that they make, where they deploy, things of that nature. So give us the 30,000-foot view of your department and what it is you do and how you help, say, Chief Lamb and everyone else.
The real reason why it's so necessary for any department to have some analytical bodies to work through is because you're thinking about the volume of data that we have now in criminal justice that we didn't have in years past with the CAD, Call Assisted Dispatch, or Record Management Service. There are thousands and thousands of records and unique relationships between those data sets that can be made to pull out new insights that aren't readily apparent when you're using it in your MCT or on your desktop. And that's where the analyst can come in and dig into that data. So the crime analysis unit for some time was either one or two of us at any given point. Right now we have the great fortune to have 4 analysts, 2 of which, Brooklyn and Elena, are supporting the emergence of our real-time intelligence center through the use of drones as first responders or our LPR systems and supporting real-time investigations. And then the other 2 are more traditionally crime analysis employees where they focus in on, those are Jordan, more supporting CID and long-term investigations through ballistic analysis or social network analysis of offenders and their relationships. And then Lori is supporting patrol operations where is crime occurring, what are the trends that we can see in the crime, and where can we put our proactive efforts so that we could have the most impact.
So I've only been here for a year and a half, but just in that brief amount of time, I've seen the advances in technology. So it has come a long way in a short period of time. How long has the access to computers and the things that, I mean, I know computers in general, how long they've been around, but as far as policing, all these things you mentioned, RMS and CAT, I use them every day, but for a different reason. I find out what happened.
Yeah.
I want to find out who did what when, at what time, what were the facts behind the case. That you dig deeper. So about how long have police departments been able to break these things out and gather the information that they used to use them the way you need to?
You know, our system originally goes back to 2004 when we started digitizing and having this transition. So for us, but you can go back earlier to around 1999 when the NYPD was starting their CompStat program, where they were each month bringing in the leadership, going over the numbers and seeing what do we need to do more to have a better impact. And that model was what was pushed out across the country. And it's been tweaked in different ways. And the field itself, given that it's only 20 years old in this municipal law enforcement model, is continuing to grow and evolve, and new techniques are being developed all the time. But some of this is still the same stuff that we were using overseas. Like when I talk about social network analysis, it's a software that I advocated bringing in here is an IBM Analyst Notebook, where it allows you, I'll dump in 1,000 different characters and all of their criminal activity and then be able to find the connections between them more readily.
I mean, it's really all just happened in this century, which is crazy. I mean, I'm not a young man, but I'm also not an old man. And when I was going to college, I graduated in 1990. I had to put my term paper together with a typewriter. Now, they had some workstations in the library, but nobody had them personally. No one had personal computers then. No one did.
Yeah.
I mean, there was dot matrix printers and things of those, but you had to book time in the computer lab just to do anything on a computer. And I'm like, it's faster for me to type. And it was, because then to book time.
Yeah.
And that's how far we have come from typewriters not that long ago to these little computers that we have in our pockets called iPhones, to all the stuff that you're able to do right now, which is just, what do you imagine happening in the next 20 or 30 years? I mean, can you even imagine?
The hot topic word that everybody talks about is artificial intelligence. It's a real challenge when you're dealing with criminal justice information systems. We have federal regulations about how they should be controlled. There's some things about how they need to be protecting personal identifying information. But eventually they're going to come over those barriers, and you're going to see some more analytical aspects be more readily available to the field officer, where they can just ask a question, I need the stats on this thing or this hour, and it pop out more readily. And some would say, well, like, are you afraid of that taking over your position? I'm like, no, that's the next step to amplify where we need to go. We're only scraping the surface about our analytical capacity. So I welcome the technology. I don't shy away from it.
Well, and the thing about AI, artificial intelligence, is we need to find out how to use it well for our purposes. We also need to find out how to safeguard against it in some ways. So it's like, it's dual-fold right there. You've got two things that you're dealing with the same type of thing.
Exactly.
I mean, because people are going to use it for bad, like we're going to use it for good.
Exactly.
So it's to figure out how to discern what is real, what's not.
Yeah.
And I see that as a real big challenge.
Yeah, I think as we move into this new age, if there's anything that I can push heartily, is that you're checking your sources. You're not letting it do the work and give you the answers. You need to say, give me that source of the information and go do the due diligence to follow through with that. Otherwise, we're going to be led into a blind hole where it's just trying to give us the answers that it thinks what we want to hear.
So Chief Lamb, as everyone knows now, it was the worst kept secret in town for a while, and now it is out. Chief Mike Lamb is retiring after about 28 years, coming up in 28 years of service with the department, and that'll happen before the end of the year. One of the things he has mentioned, as he has done a series of interviews with media outlets, is one of the things he's most proud of is the reduction in crime, violent crime, over the last year. 37% reduction. So this was part of, you broke this out, you figure these numbers out, you figure how. So some people I see online, they question it. They're like, yeah, but it's from where it came from and where it was. So tell us what that number means and how that helps the Asheville Police Department and why Chief Lamb is proud of that.
What's important to start off with when we're talking about violent crime, how it's defined, we're talking about it, how the FBI defines it under the Uniform Crime Reporting, not to be confused with the newest system of National Instant-Based Reporting System, but under UCR, violent crime is homicide, aggravated assault, rape, and robbery. And so under those four categories, most of that violent crime is aggravated assault, assaults that have severe injury or the use of a weapon. And that weapon oftentimes is gun violence. So over the last several years, particularly since 2018, we have really prioritized gun violence as the priority investigation. And for analysis, that is going through the ballistics connections with forensics and CID to find those connections, digging into the ongoing gun disputes, those actors, and try to get ahead of the violence before it occurs, and then try to do all that we can to help CID bring the best investigations to our local and federal prosecutors. And through all of that process, I think we've gotten better outcomes. The biggest drop of this 37% is in aggravated assaults. So.
Well, anecdotally, I mean, it's probably going to go down again, at least it is temporarily, because this year, knock on wood, it's been a good year for the homicides, at least. That number is down. Mm-hmm. We've had 2. And neither of those are what you would consider to be traditional homicides, either accidental or otherwise. They weren't like the one guy goes to shoot another guy type homicides. Like you mentioned, the being able to discern what crimes might happen and the violent crime aspect. Of course, we had a 4-day stretch this summer of shootings 4 days in a row. Yeah. But with good old-fashioned policing and with data, combining those two, they were able to prevent another shooting from occurring in a retaliatory manner. Mm-hmm. So that's a great example of it.
Exactly. It both informs our operations and how we're engaging with the community, but it also helps us stay accountable because every call that we go on, whether it's one from the community that requested us or that we self-initiated, it goes into the system, and we can then show, like, we've spent this many hours, we went to this many calls. When a community is saying we haven't seen you, we have the numbers to back it up, So.
We were at a Coffee with a Cop event recently, and some members of the community came up in West Asheville. Standing next to me was the lieutenant in charge of that district, and a community member mentioned that there were perhaps the unhoused or not sleeping in doorways, stealing things off porches, other petty crimes and more serious crimes. And he said, have you reported any of this? And she said, no, I haven't. He says, I need you to call and report that. We need this data. I need to know what is happening in each neighborhood. And that's how we discern where to put our officers.
Yeah, that's the biggest key. Since 2020, if I could advocate for anybody in the community to know, is that our police to citizen platform is a crucial piece of information that just because you don't have an officer that shows up to that incident, maybe you don't hear back about that incident, that you think it wasn't worth making that call or sending that email. It goes into the data as a whole and helps inform the operations. If I don't know that those incidents are occurring in your community, then I can't direct patrol to go into that area.
Some of the community members probably are not aware of, in the world of transparency, that we have made some of these websites and data available to them on their own. So talk about some of those where they can just go on their own and find things out, like, heck, it could even come in, like, where am I going to buy a home?
Yes.
It's like, I want to, what neighborhood do I want to live in or not live in? And that information is accessible.
Yeah, frequently we get the calls from the community for exactly that. If I'm either coming into the town for an event or I'm buying a home, I want to know which community is the safest. One of the best resources we have is Community Crime Map. It's a product by LexisNexis. You can see multiple jurisdictions across the country, but you can zoom into Asheville. You can pick your date range, the type of crime that you want to specifically identify an address and say a radius around there. You want to see all the activity. You can see times of day, and then you can have alerts set up to email you on a regular basis, either daily, weekly, or monthly, with a summary of that crime activity. So if you wanted to just know your house and 500 feet around or 5 miles around, it would tell you that. We also have our own police transparency site. It's policedata.ashevillennc.gov, where there we have additional crime maps, gun discharge maps, victimology data, use of force data. And then all of this data is also still available on the City of Asheville's open data portal, where all of the departments across the City of Asheville put raw data sets and mapped data that you can go in and do further analysis if you so choose to.
Yeah, we've got our Police to Citizen website as well. And I would also recommend to people, as a great way to keep up to date with what is going on, to, first of all, click like on our Facebook page.
Yes.
We post all of our press releases. I've had people actually ask that aren't members of the media that have said, I'm not in the media, but can I get your press releases? And I'm like, well, there's several ways. You can like our Facebook page. We mirror every press release there. Also, Tip 411.
Tip 411.
Tip 411 is used for multiple reasons, actually. We put all of our press releases on there, and that's also where you can report.
Yep, it's a beautiful tool of end-to-end encryption, so you truly are anonymously providing tips to the police, but it allows us to then still open that conversation up and have a two-way to say, all right, do you have any photos of that thing that you saw, or do you have any other descriptive information that you could provide? And we've had some really big investigations come to end because of those tips.
People have a genuine fear in some of these communities where there's crime that they're going to be found out and there's going to be some retaliatory measures. And so they don't want to say anything. And totally understandable. But with Tip 411, and they were like, well, how does that work? How can I tell you something and now you're going to find out? You can see where I've called from. You can see these are designed so people are completely anonymous, like you said, and they can actually acquire more information still completely anonymous. It's like, well, yeah, but once I begin an exchange, then they're going to find out because I'm using my cell phone, right? It's like, no, this is completely encrypted. It's safe. You can report and get the information to us without you being detected, so you're safe as well.
Yeah, whether you're using the app or you're texting in, all we see on our end is a randomly generated unique code. Now, if we begin the conversation, you'll see the APD employee who's speaking back to us, the captain, lieutenant, sergeant, their name and their rank will be there, and so you'll know you're talking to an official.
Doug Oeser joins me now. I know you're a big picture guy at your department. You've got big, don't want to use their dreams and aspirations, but I'm sure you've got some things in your head, some ways that, ideas that you maybe want to implement. So what's your next kind of something that you'd like to see happen?
I think I'm just really excited about our development of the Real-Time Intelligence Center, not only for how it can support our agency, but the region as we try to bring all of these jurisdictions together, try to have analysts and sworn personnel from all of these different agencies together with us, and then having a more robust system that incorporates the intelligence that we're gathering from the traditional crime analysis unit to inform that real-time operations.
I know that Deputy Chief Jackie Stepp is very excited, has been instrumental with the Real-Time Intelligence Center, the RTIC. What would you say to the people in the community that are afraid of the Big Brother aspect of some of our, our LPRs, our license plate readers and things of that nature, the drone program that, to kind of alleviate their fears?
The two key components is transparency and accountability, which is one of my key components. Is we audit these systems on a regular basis to make sure that any searches that are being done as tied to an investigation, and that we're putting out all of the information that we're doing, the LPR hits that we're doing or the flights that we're doing, all of that is available out to the community. When it's your crime, then when you're the victim, you don't want to have to be hem-hawing about where do we get that camera footage. If within the matter of hours from when you were a victim of crime, we could turn around, find the offender, and locate where they were, we can probably bring that level of harm that repeat offender at sometimes is committing and make the community a lot safer.
It's all about building trust, which is a big part of my job, your job. It's kind of almost what we're doing right now. By sharing all this information, we've got nothing to hide.
Yes.
All right. Doug Oeser, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Joining me now from the Community Engagement Division, and I love saying this, Carrie Lee from APD.
That's me.
Oh, look at you, kept it going.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Okay.
People use it all the time and remember it. It's great.
It is. It's one of those things. I could tell you my former address is something else people would remember, but I can't because it's a family program. It's one of those combinations of names and numbers that is just absolutely, once you hear it once, you're like, oh yeah, I'll remember your address for those Christmas cards. And it's like you could have skipped a number, but they didn't.
That's how we taught my son, who is now 4, our address was. He loves singing, so we put our address to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and now he's getting to teach his 2-year-old sister our address.
What do they call that? Is that mnemonic? harmonics or phonics or
I can't
some
remember.
kind of onyx?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Carrie Lee, thanks for joining us again.
Of course.
In a busy month of October. What do we got coming up?
Yes. So a couple of things to highlight, a few things that we just recently did and a few things coming up. October is Pedestrian Safety Month. We had the privilege of partnering with the North Carolina Office of State Human Resources last Wednesday to bring awareness to pedestrian safety.
This is like a two-pronged thing, too, because pedestrians themselves, when they're walking around downtown, I've seen it, you've seen it, they're not paying attention.
Yep.
And so you've got that, and then people behind the wheel also equally not paying attention.
Yes.
That is just a recipe for disaster, and unfortunately, we've seen that disaster too many times.
Yes, so we were very privileged to be able to bring awareness. We were down in Biltmore Village. Now that more businesses are reopening in the village, we thought that was a great place to do it. Also, a lot of people do not realize the speed limit is only 20 miles an hour through the village.
Yeah.
Yes. So thankfully, we were able to educate several drivers as well as pedestrians. We handed out a bunch of warnings that morning, just letting folks know. A lot of people weren't aware of the speed limit. A lot of people weren't paying attention. And we also had interactions with several dozen pedestrians as well throughout the day.
Pedestrians, do yourself a favor. Look, put the phone down when you're crossing the street.
Yes.
And just like Mom taught us when we were growing up, look both ways.
And then I like to give the death stare. You stare that car down until you know that they see you.
Yeah, I mean, it's for your own good. Like, do you want to get hit? Probably not.
Right, yep.
And not all of them are also where I've heard this from so many people, just casual conversation or whatever. It's just like pedestrians have the right of way. Not always. It's one of those things, you got crosswalks. You've got.
Once a pedestrian is in a crosswalk, they have the right of way.
Yes, but they can't just jaywalk.
That's right. You have to be crossing either in or very close to a marked crosswalk.
Yeah, so there's some rules we all need to play by to keep everybody safe. So
Yes.
I'm glad that was successful then. It's so good to see parts of Biltmore Village coming back to life.
Yes, very
McDonald's,
much.
as they say, the fancy McDonald's.
Yep, it's getting rebuilt, so it's really nice to see some activity over there
Yeah.
and some different properties getting activated now.
And there's a few things that I'm not sure ever will come back, and maybe they should. Maybe those should be green space. Some areas that are super prone to flooding that are right there along that river. It's happened now so many times that maybe there's a different way we can reimagine those locations.
We'll just have to see what the city's got in store.
Yeah, we will. What else going on?
We have the Boo Bash. We have been invited by the Tanger Outlets out on Brevard Road to participate in Boo Bash on October 26th, which is a Sunday. We will be out there from 1 to 4 p.m. with thousands of pieces of candy and some really awesome spooky decorated vehicles.
It's going to be awesome.
There will be other entities there as well as some of the shops taking part. It's a really fun event. We went last year and had a really great time.
I live relatively close by, so I mean, it's closer for me than a lot of people. So I go there to the outlets frequently, right?
Yeah.
I think some people have kind of forgotten how to actually shop in person. Everybody does it online now.
Yep.
And for some things, I mean, it's easier. Okay, if you're doing some basic shopping, you need a couple of cleaning supplies or whatever. That's fine, right? Go ahead.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it's on your front door. But I can't buy clothes really on the internet.
Yeah,
I don't like.
hard.
I got to put them on. I got to see how they look on me. Sure, it might look good there, but it arrives. Next thing you know, you're like, "This is ugly."
If you find yourself in need to do some in-person shopping that day, even if you're an adult, please feel free to stop by and snag a piece of candy from us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And come check out some of our cool vehicles we've got.
Yeah, the Christmas shopping season is right around the corner.
It is.
Kind of incorporate those two things.
That's right.
And since we're talking about Halloween, I was going to bring this up anyway. You strike me as a Halloween person, like somebody that embraces it.
That's really funny because I'm not.
I'm wrong on that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
With your personality and just as creative as you are and as outgoing, I would have thought you would get behind that.
No, I am not a big Halloween person.
But you got the kids.
I do have kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
You taking them out trick-or-treating?
Yeah, in my parents' neighborhood, it's a nice little small neighborhood. We know a lot of the neighbors there, so it's just an easy little loop. They have fun, we have fun, and then we call it a night and get to bed on time.
I used to live on Vermont Avenue.
Oh, yes. I've had the pleasure of being out there as their hired security for 2 years, and it was so much fun. My favorite memory is I had a little girl come up to me. She was dressed like a traffic cone. And so I asked her parents, I said, may I take a picture with your daughter? Because I was, in full uniform. And I still have that photo on my phone.
So I was warned. So I moved here in 99, right? And so I met my wife not that long after, and we moved in together at her house there that was actually belonged to her grandmother, but we were already engaged. We're on a route to get married, and my lease was coming up, so that was the whole justification for moving to that part of town. And she warned me about Halloween. Now, I love Halloween, but not in a way like I like to dress up.
Right.
I actually enjoy handing out candy traditionally.
Yeah.
I like to see and this is weird for me who I don't really like children, to be honest with you. I don't really like the presence of children.
It's okay.
But the reason I like Halloween is it's brief, right? They're dressed up.
Yeah.
They come, they do the trick or treat. You hand them the candy, and then they're on their way. And I actually have a tradition where I will get a 6-pack of Dead Guy from Rogue Brewing Company.
Okay.
Dead Guy Ale, just kind of the
Nice.
Halloween thing. And sometimes I'll have a cigar, and I'll just sit on the front porch and hand out the candy. And I enjoy that.
I will say, I did get into it a couple of years. I had a friend that was renting on Vermont Avenue, and she had a Halloween party. So I went with your classic, easy-to-do costume, bedsheet with 2 eyeballs poked out, right?
It can't go wrong.
And there were some pillars by the front gate. And so I crouched up on the pillar, and I waited for a while after, the crowd kind of filtered through, and there's
Were you
new
like
people.
a gargoyle of sorts?
Well, a ghost gargoyle, sure.
Okay.
So I would wait until somebody would come up to see if I was real or a decoration, and then I would simply go, boo. And they would freak out.
Wow.
It was hysterical. And so, really great reaction. I scared a lot of dogs too. But so the next year, she had the party and I came back. I did the same exact thing. I kid you not. I had kids coming up and saying, oh my gosh, the ghost is back. And they would wait to watch me scare people.
It's the when is it coming, right? It's the delayed reaction.
It was so much fun. I scared so many adults. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
So that's the most I've ever gotten into Halloween.
So I went out and bought just a ton of candy, right? Because she warned me. She goes, no, so you don't understand how big this is.
Yes.
I thought I did. Clearly I didn't. I mean, I bought a ton of candy, right? I thought I was going to have all these leftovers until the next year, right? I'm set until Easter. I can just hand it out again.
Nope.
Okay, so 15 minutes in, right, we're out of candy.
Yeah.
The church activity buses were parking across the street. Kids were unloading.
You have to literally give one piece. You can't let them grab.
I started with 2, backed off to 1. We still ran out, but I didn't want to be the guy that turns the light up. So I have this huge thing of quarters, right? I'm like, hey, go on quarters.
There you go.
I'm not handing out dimes and nickels, but I got a bunch of quarters.
Okay.
I start handing out quarters. The money, whatever like that. 15 minutes after that, and probably $50 in. I'm out, and I'm like, honey, lights are off. We're going to Burgermeister's.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the quarters. So I had a cousin who could not eat. He was on a feeding tube as a young child. And there's something called the Teal Pumpkin Project. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this. You can put a teal pumpkin out on your porch, and that signals to kiddos that you have something that is a non-food treat.
Okay.
So my parents do this at their house. They get little trinkets. They'll go to the dollar store and buy the tiny little things of Play-Doh and fun little figurines and whatever. And that way, for kiddos that might have severe food allergies or other restrictions, they know that, this house has something that's not food, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is. That's a good idea. I love that one. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that at all. Let's circle back and give them the date again of the event.
Yes.
It's totally my fault. We went off the rails.
It's all good. So the Boo Bash at Tanger Outlets is going to be on the 26th, which is a Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m.
Okay, so make sure you're there for that. What else in the month of October?
We like to partner up occasionally with Asheville Parks and Rec in their Rec and Roll Mobile. Throughout the summer, they did some really awesome events. They took all kinds of things. They would have foam parties on parking lots. I got to go to a foam party one time in Beaverview.
Those are fun.
So much fun. I was very, very clean after that.
Squeaky clean fun.
Yes, squeaky clean. They also would take foam blocks out to different parks. So for part of the fall, they will be at different housing complexes during the month of October. On the 14th, they're going to be at Pisgahview. On the 16th, they will be in Hillcrest. On the 20th, they will be at Spruce Hill. And on the 22nd, we are planning on hanging out with them in Beaverview.
All right.
So we would love to see y'all out there. And if you're not familiar with what Parks and Rec does, check them out. They do a lot of awesome programming.
Yeah, and like us on Facebook, because we'll always post these things too. So if you kind of forget, you weren't taking notes while Carrie Lee was saying all that. Just I know, I understand you didn't have a pen handy. You're listening.
I've got like 5 sticky notes to keep track of all these things.
So just go ahead and like us on our Facebook page. We always announce these activities. So we're not going to talk before we get into the full holiday season. Halloween kind of kicks that off a little bit. But then overdrive with Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Yes.
I think I'll know the answer, but I'm going to ask everyone as we do the next couple of months of podcasting, among those 3 favorite holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, which one?
I really like Christmas, but my favorite season is fall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now.
Very much.
We're getting the weather. You can sit outside. You can do a fire pit.
It's beautiful.
Okay, how about this? Okay, we talking apple cider or are we talking pumpkin spice?
Neither.
Is there a third alternate? Is there
I'm just
option?
like I don't like the spices in cider. I'm an apple juice person.
Okay.
And I'm not a pumpkin spice person. I don't like pumpkin pie. I don't like the spices in pumpkin pie. I'm a hot chocolate. I'm a hot chocolate girl.
I got no
hot
problem.
Chocolate and like hot tea. I don't do mulled cider or anything like that. Hot chocolate or hot tea. I don't even drink coffee.
You know what? If you like the hot cocoa, I don't know if you imbibe in any of these type of beverages, but I like to put a little Bailey's Irish cream in my hot cocoa. That's for later in the night when the kids are asleep.
My recent beverage of choice has been a little bit, I do a black tea with some hot cocoa powder mixed in.
I can see that.
Yes, it's very nice.
Totally see that.
Yes.
All right. Carrie Lee from APD, thanks for coming by.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's time for another History Minute with Hannah Silberman. Welcome back. You were on vacation, right?
Yeah.
All right. Was it nice?
It was good.
All right. Vacations are always good. Let's get right back at it. What do you have for us today looking back in APD history?
Line of duty death from October 1933.
Okay. Going way back on this one?
Yep. Essentially, there were 2 patrol officers. One was Officer Major Worley, and Major was his first name, not his rank.
Okay.
So he's Patrol Officer Major Worley.
Thank you for clarifying.
And Lee Hipps were dispatched to Hazel Mill Road, and that would have been Hazel Mill closer to the river, not the one that kind of goes up Pine Avenue, because this was before the bridge was built.
Right.
So it's got kind of Hazel Mill got cut in 2, right, by Patton Avenue. Mm-hmm. And so there's like actually a little bit that's closer down towards the river than there is that goes up towards Emma.
Yes. Yeah. And I guess not too far from where New Belgium Brewing would be located
kind of
today.
around there,
Just a
exactly.
little bit north of there, I would imagine. Okay.
Yeah. They were dispatched to a domestic disturbance. A neighbor called in. She heard a man inside of a house there threatening to kill his wife and kids and violently assaulting them.
Wow.
So they went, and when they got there, the man was identified as Clarence Peterson, and his father lived next door, and he was waiting. And he said, "My son is inside. He's got a gun. He's intoxicated on something." And the officers didn't know that the wife and children had fled before they got there.
Okay.
They'd come up with a plan, and Officer Hipps went around to the front door while Officer Worley went around to the back. And as Hipps was knocking on the front door, Worley went to reach and open a screen door, and as he did, Clarence Peterson fired a shotgun through the door and hit Worley in the abdomen.
Ooh.
Hipps, who was on the other side of the house, said all he saw was Worley go flying backwards because it hit him so hard, and he landed in the yard. Hipps didn't know what to do. He said he tried to get to Worley, but all of the doors were locked. So he opted to run to a neighbor's house to call for help. Meanwhile, Clarence Peterson ran away.
Did Peterson, looking back, did he know it was a police officer, or he just heard noises and just that said, "I'm blasting," or whatever it was?
So ultimately, he surrendered himself later that day and pled guilty to second-degree murder because he said all he saw was a person with a gun. And he only served 7 years in prison. He was paroled in October 1940. And he escaped from prison once during that time. They had to go capture him in Knoxville and drag him back to prison.
Oh, my gosh. 7 years for killing a police officer, regardless if it was, so he says, a mistake or whatever it was. That's ridiculous.
But poor Major Worley didn't have aid applied to him for over 10 minutes because Hipps ran away. You know, they didn't have radios or they had to go call for help. So a detective came, threw him in the car and took him to the hospital, but he passed away later that day.
Yeah, so you think about that. In 1933, When did police radios become a thing? Any idea?
So we got one-way police radios in 1934, and we didn't get two-way radios until 1938.
So really just a few years away from having some more communication, although I'm not sure that would have mattered, given the severity of the injuries. How fast can you get an ambulance there and what can they actually do? But it would have been nice to see him get some kind of aid a little bit sooner. Yeah. But, you look back, nothing you can do about that.
Well, the chief at the time fired that other police officer the next day, who appealed to the very new Civil Service Board, and his appeal did not go far.
Well, so at least there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as that's concerned, it's basically running away. It's just kind of sad. But so what do we know about Officer Worley? Let's talk about him just a little bit instead of just a name in a history book.
Sure. He was a member of our police department for 8 years. He was previously a garage owner, and he was based out of the West End neighborhood in Asheville. He had 3 brothers and 5 sisters, and I know that one of his brothers was the pastor at the West End Baptist Church.
Okay.
He had a 3-year-old daughter at the time of his death and 2 stepchildren who were quite young. They had his services at the West End Baptist Church, where his brother was the pastor, and several thousand people came, so much that they had to stand in the street. But he's buried in the Green Hill Cemetery in West Asheville.
How big would the force have been, like in 1933? Are we talking maybe 50 officers or so?
About 50.
So it's a pretty small force. The city itself was pretty small. So, I guess no one else could probably even get to that location for how long would it have taken? Or 15, 20 minutes, I would guess, because you have to find someone and then, can I borrow your phone, I guess, or something along those lines.
Yep.
It's hard to think of policing that way.
Yeah.
With the technology we have today, with instant communication, cell phones, everything else, and drones and all this, what they had to deal with back then, how it was so much different. So that was 1933. How many line-of-duty deaths have the Asheville Police Department suffered over the years since its inception 150 years ago?
We've had 7 officially, but we have, through the History Project, petitioned to add 2 more officers to that list, so it would be 9.
So what would those 2 be, like as far as why weren't they already categorized that way? What had happened?
At the time, line-of-duty deaths were only classified that way if you were essentially killed by an active assailant or like in a car crash or something that was pretty immediate.
So it happened right then.
Right. You died immediately. So now our standards have changed. So if there's an accident but you die as a result of that accident, even if it's a year or 2 later, it's still a line-of-duty death. They didn't previously do that. So,
which would make sense. I mean, let's say you get shot and you're in the hospital for X amount of time or recovering from wounds or there's an infection or whatever like that and you eventually die from it. You died from getting shot, just not right then.
Exactly.
So it certainly makes sense that those would be added. So keep us surprised on that. I'd be curious if those 2 get added. Are you feeling pretty good that they will be?
One absolutely, like at least one absolutely. And I'm pretty confident both of them will be. And they were both auto accidents.
So would there be any kind of ceremony, any kind of recognition for that if it happened?
Yes, they will get added to the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Wall in Washington. So we'll let you know if I've submitted the application, and we'll let you know if it comes through.
Okay, looking forward to hearing more about that. Hannah Silberman, thank you again for the History Minute as we continue to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Asheville Police Department. That's it for another episode of the APD Pod Squad. Thank you to my guests, Lieutenant Diana Loveland, Doug Oeser, Senior Police Officer Carrie Lee, and Hannah Silberman with the History Minute. And thank you for listening. If there's something you'd like to hear discussed, call 828-250-8800 and leave a voicemail. If you got a question for Chief Lamb, call that same number, 828-250-8800, and ask the Chief. That's 250-8800, or you can email apdpodcastfeedback@asheville.nc.gov. We'll have him on here at least one more time before he retires at the end of November. Listen and subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts, and don't miss a single episode. Tell a friend. Help spread the word. Appreciate you. I'm Rick Rice, and this is the APD Pod Squad.